Well, we're back in the shop again. Today's project's going to be to do a 3-hole service on our 2005 Softail Deluxe. This is one of our newer vehicles that we purchased just last year, so haven't done a lot of work on this yet. So I'll be learning as I go and showing you guys what I learn, I guess. We do have the service manual out. We've looked everything up. So it shouldn't be too complicated. We'll get started and see how we make out. So it looks like we got everything we need. We've got 4 quarts of 20W50 V-twin oil. We've got our transmission fluid and our primary chain case lube as well. A quart of each of those. A new filter. And we even bought those set of funnels off of Amazon or eBay, whatever, for the Harley, to make things a little easier on us. One of the funnels goes underneath your oil filter, and then we got another one to fill up the primary. So we should have everything we need. We even bought some new O-rings for the drain plugs. The oil drain pan I always use for our cars and trucks. It won't quite slide underneath the bike. It's a little too tall. So I just took old mobile oil jug and cut the top off, or cut the side off, I guess, and it fits underneath rather well, so that's what we'll be using to drain the oil into. So there's the oil drain plug, and it's basically in line with the rear foot peg. Comes down from your oil tank. That takes a 9/16 socket. Get our drain pan ready. And the bike has been warmed up. We did take it around the block. Got it up to operating temperature. There we go. And there is a magnet on the drain plug. So we're going to take a look at that too. It looks pretty good. No, I don't see any debris on there at all. That's a good sign. So we'll let that drain for a minute. And to speed the process up a bit, we'll pull the oil cap off the tank here. Let a little air in, let the oil out. So while the oil is draining, we'll have a good look at the magnet here. Yeah, I don't see really any debris on there. That's a good thing. Alright, we'll get that all cleaned up. We'll pop this O-ring off. Like I said, we already bought a bunch. We've got a whole package of them. Should last us a while. I have seen a couple videos where they've used some kind of sealer on these plugs. I don't read anywhere in the manual where they say to do that. And there's a couple other guys online that say it's totally not necessary, especially if you replace your O-ring. So we won't be putting any sealer on this. It didn't have any on it to start with, and it didn't leak, so I guess it's not necessary. Alright, so the plug's ready to go. Wait for the oil to finish draining. So I'm going to stand the bike up straight, or actually just probably lean it a little bit to the right side. Right side of the bike is where the oil drain plug is, so might get a little more oil out of it doing that than having it on the side stand. Yeah, let's see how this funnel for under the filter is going to work. It just slides in underneath. Got a bit of a hose on it that we got down into another drain pan. Yeah, looks like it should be okay. not sure how much oil it's really going to catch, but we need to get that filter a little bit loose before we can slide this under. There is a special filter wrench for these. Seems like everybody uses them. Not 100% sure why, because the automotive style does fit without any issue at all. So, having never done this before, I guess we'll figure out whether the other style is a better deal or not. Whoever put this one on, put it on pretty tight. I think I've got it loose enough that I can get it by hand now. We'll find out that in a second. Get our funnel under there. No, I do not. It probably won't fit with the funnel there. No, definitely not. Huh. Well, like I said, we're learning as we go. It's fairly loose now. Not a lot of room for your hands. I think our cheap funnel is in the way of holding the filter. Well, here comes oil down that funnel. Probably better just to make the mess and wipe it up when we're done. We're catching some of the oil in this funnel, but we're still getting a puddle on the ground at the same time, so it's not catching at all. And it is preventing us from spinning this funnel off any further. Or sorry, spinning the filter off. It kind of, there's not enough room in there for everything. That seems a bit of a waste to me. There we go. Well, I gotta get a rag. Yeah, I think we got as much on the ground as we did in our drain pan here. Seems a little useless. Well, we got a little bit of cleanup to do here. Not too bad. Wipe the gasket surface off too. Always double check this gasket surface to make sure the old O-ring off the filter didn't stick to it. If you ever double up the O-rings, you'll have an oil leak for sure. That looks pretty good. Still a tiny bit of oil coming out, and we're not ready to put the new filter on yet, so we'll just tuck that in here for now. We'll get our new filter ready. Now this will come in handy here. We've got a place to put a socket on the end of this one, even though you only tighten this up by hand. And this one comes with a little bit of oil already on the gasket, but we will put a little extra on, obviously. And I do like to pre-fill my filters. I know that's totally overkill and it's not really necessary. And if this one, if you fill it more than halfway, you're going to make a mess, but we'll put some in here and get the element all saturated anyways. Yes, it's overkill. But we're not in a hurry. So taking a little extra time is not a big deal. Put a nice amount of oil on this O-ring for it doesn't stick. Let that soak in for a minute and we'll be good to go. Okay, let's get this new filter installed. So if you can get a grip on these things, you only want it to go hand tight. But since this is something that's really hard to grasp onto, get the contact, and you know, 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn is plenty. So we got a ratchet on the end of this. That's our 1/2 a turn. I'm confident that's plenty tight. Yeah, gonna leave that alone. Put the oil plug back in and we're ready to fill it up. So I'll get this drain plug put back in. And again, you want to always start these by hand. Alright, there's a torque spec on this. I gotta go look it up and get the torque wrench ready. The torque spec for the drain plug is 14 to 21 foot-pounds. We've got the torque wrench set at 18 foot-pounds. And there we go, tighten the spec. Well, we're ready to add in the fresh oil. Pull out the dipstick, put it in our funnel. We'll throw in a couple quarts to start with and then check it. This 2050 is considerably thicker than what I run in my truck, which is I think it's a 020. This pours a little slower. So we put in 2 quarts. And we're right at the bottom of fill mark. It says check on side stand and full hot, so we're quite a ways away from that. We're going to add another half quart or so. Then we'll fire the bike up, let it warm up, and we'll recheck the level. That should do. See where we are in the dipstick first. Yeah, we're about 3/4 of the way up between the fill and the full mark. So we let it run for a few minutes and shut it off. Gave a chance for the oil to drain back in the tank here for a minute. Wipe off the dipstick and check again. And we are right about halfway between the fill and full line. So we'll throw another half a quart or so in. Ultimately, we want to be just a little under the full line. From everything I've read and watched on YouTube, you're a little better off being a touch under. Something about getting a little blow by and blowing out through the air cleaner. Must be something to do with the PCV system. Not really 100% sure on that. If you know more about that than I do, you can leave a comment there in the comment section. Yeah, we're right to the full mark. I guess we're good. We'll start it up, let it run for another minute or two, and check it again. Yeah, we'll check it one final time, and we're right to the full line. So, on to the next two. Well, we got one hole done. We got 2 to go. That kind of sounds like a good date night, don't it? Anyways, right here is where the transmission dipstick is. We'll just loosen this off. And the drain plug is underneath, and it's in between the 2 shocks. I'll see if I can't get under there and get a picture of it. So we're right between the 2 shocks here, and that's right where the drain plug is for the transmission. Same size bolt. Well, we got the transmission drain plug out, and there's just a very small amount of metal filings on here that you can just barely see. That's pretty normal, I imagine, for a transmission, so we're going to just get it all cleaned off. We'll put a new O-ring on this too as the oil is draining out while we're waiting. Clean the magnet off real well. Kind of hard to film taking this plug out, as you just, you can't see under there, there's no room. Well, we got the drain plug all cleaned up. We'll pop off this old O-ring. Get our new one put on. Oh, so we're ready to reinstall. So got all the oil drained out. Ready to put the plug back in. There's no way to film that, so we'll just get that back in and back in a minute. I'm sure this will be a lot easier on a lift, but we don't have one. There we go, we're at our 18 pounds. That seems pretty tight. It's a 3/8 Allen to get the fill plug out for the transmission. We already had it loosened off where we could for it would drain a little quicker. Get our funnel in here. And it takes anywhere from 20 to 24 ounces to fill this back up, so the manual says. So if we put in 20, there'll be 12 left. Oh, we're gonna make a mess. I think I'm gonna try a different funnel here. Hang on. Here, it's a little bigger funnel. That should help a bit. First time, you know, you just you don't always know what to use. Change the oil in my truck so often that I know what socket to grab and where everything is. It's pretty thick. 85W140. Yeah, this is pouring pretty slow, so I'll be back in a minute. Won't bore you with all this. Well, I think we should be on the mark. We'll just put the dipstick in. What it says to do is screw it in loosely, just until the gasket touches, or the O-ring touches, not to torque it down. Stand the bike up before it's level. Okay, that should do it, and we'll check from there. And that looks good. We're right at the full mark. Kind of hard to see on here, I know, but we're good. We'll get that tightened back up. There is a torque spec for this, but you can't really get a torque wrench in here. So just good and tight, good and tight. And now on to the next one. So we're on to the primary now. And right here is the drain plug for that. And it is a 3/16 Allen head on this one. Let's see what we can find here. Again, not very easy to film this. There we go. I think I'm going to have to get a lift. Make things a lot easier. We got that and it's draining. We'll let that go for a minute. I was under the impression that all the 3 drain plugs were the same, but they're not. This one's quite a bit smaller. It still does have a magnet on it. A little bit of debris on the magnet. I guess that's to be expected. But the O-ring is considerably smaller than the others, so I was thinking that those O-rings I bought would be good for all 3. So I guess we'll be reusing this one. It doesn't look bad though. And then looking through the manual, there's no torque spec for this. At least not in the manual I have. So we'll just clean this off. And then we'll take the primary cover off, have a quick look in there, and put the plug back in and fill her up. So the primary cover is a T27. To get these off. And there is a torque sequence on these when you reinstall it. Same as basically the same as star pattern, the same as you would do on your wheels on a car. Put that in a little so I don't drop these right in there. Just gently pull this off. I was just expecting an O-ring. Well, we're ready to put the plug back in. Like I said, I can't find a torque spec on this. It certainly wasn't overly tight to begin with, so we'll just get her good and snug again then. That should do. And now we do have a special funnel, again, another one that we purchased to help fill up the primary. I'll go grab that. Well, here's the funnel we bought. It appears to be a little too small. I'm guessing these tabs should be fitting behind the cover, but they don't. Again, more junk off eBay. Now it says that it takes 24 ounces. Well, we got it filled up properly. And the next thing to do is to get the cover back on. Got the gasket in place. Everything's cleaned up. We'll start a few of these by hand. nice and loose. Torque spec for these in the manual says 84 to 108 inch-pounds. And it says to tighten them in a crisscross pattern. Alright, so they're all finger tight. So we got the torque wrench set at 85. We're just going to snug them one more time before we torque them. That seems pretty tight. Whoop, there we go. Let's go back up to the top. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So we should all be all done our service. Guess we'll take her for a spin, make sure there's no leaks. Other than that, we're done. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Always need more subscribers. Thanks for watching.